It's Thursday, March 12th, 2026. President Trump declares victory in Iran, also says he's still in on the Save America Act, and inflation stays steady-ish in February. Next on the AM Update.
Is that a great name? Well, it's only good if you win. You know, you can only do. And we've won. Let me tell you, we've won. You know, you never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over. Oh, we won. But they gave me a list of names at general. Sir, you can pick the name you'd like, sir. I said, the name of what? The name of the attack on Iran, sir. And they gave me like 20 names. And I'm like falling asleep. I didn't like any of them. Then I see Epic Fury. I said, I like that name.
President Trump in northern Kentucky declaring victory already in Iran. He did still give himself a lot of flexibility.
International Energy Agency agreed to coordinate the release of a record 400 million barrels of oil from various national petroleum reserves around the world, which will substantially reduce the oil prices as we end this threat to America and this threat to the world. We don't want to leave early, do we, huh? We got to finish the job, right?
It does seem as if maybe a little bit of inertia has set in, although that just could be the typical American attitude. Can't hold attention, can't be patient for more than 5 minutes, but it does seem like maybe a little bit of inertia has set in when it comes to the operation in Iran. The Central Command provided an update yesterday morning, courtesy of Central Command Commander Brad Cooper. 5,500 targets struck by American military forces. There's also this as well. The threat of the closure or the attempted blockade, more precisely of the Strait of Hormuz, continues to grow, although there's a lot of conflicting information. BBC reports as many as 3 tankers, 3 cargo ships were struck by unknown forces yesterday. Also, President Trump said that more than 20 inactive mine-laying vessels from the Iranian Navy had been struck and destroyed as well. But then there's also this. Hezbollah and Iran, for 2 nights in a row, have coordinated attacks on northern Israel. Just hundreds, 150 last night from Hezbollah, rockets fired at northern Israel. I've seen a lot of commentary online saying this is not exactly unexpected, but it was a significant attack towards Israel. So Israel now is definitely fighting a 2-front war in Lebanon against Hezbollah and, of course, against Iran as well. More on that in just a little bit. It does seem, you can kind of read this 2 ways, that maybe this is an effective diversion on the part of Iran-backed Hezbollah, or this could be the last gasps of Iran against Israel as they see their time ticking in control of that country. Because there's this as well. The Israeli Air Force launched another wide-scale wave of strikes against IRGC infrastructure across Iran on Wednesday afternoon, simultaneously with strikes on Hezbollah targets in Beirut. In addition, the IDF struck several IRGC infrastructure sites in Tehran and other Islamic regime military strongholds throughout the country. Those attacks included drone hits on various checkpoints in and around Tehran, some of them targeting Basij, that would be kind of the domestic put-down apparatus of the regime, to make sure that the streets stay under control. As many as 10 deaths reported in those attacks. Back home, stateside, ABC News came out with this, what I think is kind of a suspicious report. The FBI apparently warned police departments in California in recent days that Iran could retaliate for American attacks by launching drones at the West Coast. According to an alert reviewed by ABC, that alert said, quote, "We recently acquired information that as of early February 2026, Iran allegedly aspired to commit a surprise attack using unmanned aerial vehicles from an unidentified vessel off the coast of the United States homeland, specifically against unspecified targets in California, in the event that the U.S. conducted strikes against Iran." Again, that's a report from ABC News. What vessel and what indication, what evidence do we have from Iran that they're actually capable of doing that? Now, you don't want to put anything past them, and you don't want to take any threat for granted, but that report from ABC just does not pass the smell test, I should say. Back domestically, President Trump spoke to reporters ahead of his meetings in Ohio and Kentucky and said he's still all in on the Save America Act, despite posturing from Senate Republicans.
It's a very basic thing. It's called Save America, actually, and that's what it is. It's having to do with voting and voter ID. We want voter ID. We want proof of citizenship. We added a couple, no men playing in women's sports. We don't want that. Nobody does. I think it's about a 98% issue. We want no transgender mutilation of our children. Very basic things that you wouldn't even think we'd be talking about 15 or 20 years ago. But for the voting aspect of it is we want voter ID, very important. You have to have identification and you have to have proof of citizenship. We don't want mail-in ballots. We don't want to have ballots coming from all different corners of the world. We want to have it accurate, and you can't do that with mail-in ballots. Actually, Jimmy Carter headed a commission years ago. He said mail-in ballots no good. We're the only country in the world that's doing mail-in ballots. And that would exclude, though, our military or people that are ill, people that are away.
So President Trump says he's still all in on the Save America Act. Just a couple of thoughts before we talk about this as well, or after we talk about this. John Cornyn wrote an op-ed, or some ghostwriter for Senator John Cornyn, wrote an op-ed saying, yeah, let's nuke the filibuster to pass the Save America Act. I've always been in favor of nuking the filibuster to pass the Save America Act, although anybody paying attention knows that John Cornyn is one of the key Republicans who's actually holding up the vote on the Save America Act. He was asked about this apparent about face that he made, I believe, in the Wall Street Journal, this op-ed. He was asked about this in person by reporters.
You previously said that nuking the filibuster would be taking a wrecking ball to Senate rules. Is that no longer true?
I said I'd be open to reforms.
What would you say to those who say you just changed your mind to win the president's endorsement?
I'd say that's not true.
You also said that if leadership...
I think we're through. Go ahead. Go away.
Thank you.
So John Cornyn says, go away. I don't want to talk about my new about face on the filibuster. Don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm starting to wonder. The Save America Act, as I understand it, originally did not have anything to do with meatball surgery for minors. Didn't have anything with men playing in women's sports. That's what the White House is messaging on, though. That's what they want to be in that bill. I wonder, after all of this, I don't think this is John Cornyn's motivation, but I wonder if the White House knows that this thing is not going to pass. I'm starting to wonder if they want to tack on those additional things, those cultural flashpoints. I'm wondering if this is a cynical or, from a certain point of view, strategic play to get Democrats on the record on some of the most unpopular positions ahead of the midterms. I wonder if that's the play here, because I just can't imagine. Again, this is the Republican Party that I got to remind myself that we're talking about here. I just can't imagine that they don't know how deflated the base is at the moment. And that not passing the SAVE Act, not going to the nines on the SAVE Act, how much that's going to deflate the base even more. Well, talking about from deflating the base to inflation of our currency, the latest inflation data from the Labor Department showed that prices continued to increase, though at a steady pace in February. Some items saw noticeable price hikes and declines. Bureau of Labor Statistics found that the Consumer Price Index rose 2.4% from a year ago February, a figure that was in line with the expectations of economists polled by a number of organizations. Core CPI inflation, a figure which excludes volatile measures of food and energy prices, was up 2.5% in February, also in line with expectations and unchanged from a month ago. The readings for both headline and core CPI were above the Federal Reserve's long-run target of 2% annual inflation, but below the 9.1% high recorded in June of 2022 amid the pandemic-era inflation surge. So, holding steady on inflation data. Here's the problem, though. We're not even at the Federal Reserve's target of 2% inflation. And by the way, declining or decelerating inflation still doesn't solve the underlying problem, because the way that this is tracked, it's year over year, month by month. So this year's February data is compared to last year's February data as far as inflation is concerned. So pretend You have an item that costs $100 in 1 month, 10% inflation for 1 year. The next year, that same month, the item costs $110. And then the rate of inflation slows to 2.5% in year 3. That item is not going down in price. That item now costs even more, $112.75 or whatever it is. So we're still seeing sky-high prices compared to what they were 3, 4, 5 years ago. And that's not going to go away, if at all, for a long, long time. Also, missed this the other day. When it comes to the Save America Act, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer gave the whole ballgame away.
Yes, but their bill isn't voter ID, number one. It is about voter registration. It allows ICE to kick tens of millions of people off the rolls, and they don't tell them until Election Day, and you show up and you say, you're not registered anymore. You're not registered here. You're not on the rolls.
So there's Chuck Schumer just saying, yes, the Save America Act will kick tens of millions of our voters off the voter rolls just because they need to show proof of citizenship. If that does not give away the whole ballgame, I'm not sure what does. When we come back, it'll be our poll of the week. What are we going to be talking about in Iran a week from now? That's coming up next. Check out this radio exchange between Israeli and U.S. fighter pilots.
Mobile 97. Go for 97. It is a great honor for us to fight with you. You're doing a great job.
Thank you very much. Likewise, gentlemen. Please be safe out there. Strike hard. See ya.
That's a rare glimpse, a rare soundbite in between radio traffic between an Israeli fighter pilot and an American crew. Obviously, a lot of respect between those two forces. Brings us to our poll of the week on Iran. What do you think we'll be talking about a week from today? Every option I said is open to your interpretation. Gave you 4 options. Wow, that was fast. We look weak. Stalemate or mission accomplished. Here's what you had to say. In 4th place is we look weak at 9.7%. 3rd place, mission accomplished, 18.9%. A stalemate is in 2nd place at 30.6%. And wow, that was fast, 40.8%. Again, open for interpretation. That's what gets the most reaction, and let's get to that now. Right Wing Dad says, who the hell can replace Lindsey Graham? Apparently nobody. Not sure he can find South Carolina on a map. And I understand what he was saying in that soundbite about wanting to move all of our stuff to Israel when compared to, our quote-unquote friends in Spain. But you got to understand the times in which we live and what you're opening yourself up to. Let's move all of our stuff to Israel. Man, they are good allies. That's what I believe in a very, very volatile part of the world. But man, you had to know how that's going to play. And then the rest of this, let's invade Lebanon. Do whatever we need to do. I'm asking moms and dads to send their sons and daughters to fight in the Middle East. I'm going to South Carolina asking that. And then he's already got the Cuba merch, holding up the Make Cuba Great Again hat right next to, he literally did this on Maria Bartiromo's show, holding up the Make Cuba Great Again hat next to the Make Iran Great Again hat. I mean, he is on a total bender this week. Tavy Moore says, it's a jinx to say the last one, mission accomplished. Yeah, I remember that. Mike G says, none of the above. Well, Mike, maybe you could actually say what you think is going to be talked about a week from now. Or you could just be a troll. Trumpet says the mission won't yet be accomplished, but we are taking out these terrorists left and right, and they can't even get the messaging straight between their military and their government. If there had been an option for they look weak, I would have taken that. I agree increasingly in the last 24 hours, the chinks are starting to show in the armor of Iran's regime. That's from my vantage point, that's what it looks like. I woke up Wednesday morning thinking, wait, have we heard from Pezeshkian, the Iranian so-called president, so far this week? He allegedly made a few statements. I haven't seen him on TV at all. Not since Saturday when he started to apologize to his neighboring countries. The regime is out there on Wednesday as well talking about, hey, we're not going to talk about a ceasefire until America and the United States, the United States and Israel, I should say. The United States and Israel are guaranteed to never attack us again. I mean, that kind of flies in the face of what I've been reliably informed that, they can do this forever. They're entrenched forever. Well, if they're entrenched forever and they could do this all day, for all time, why would you even be talking about guarantees about no more future attacks? I agree with that. I think what's most likely right now is Iran just becomes the U.S. and Israel's lawn that we have to mow every 5 to 10 years, unfortunately. It's just, there's some weakness right now. I'm not sure if there's enough political will to see this through to the very, very, very end in this go-around. I'm not sure about that. But I do think most of their junk has been wiped out. Most of their junk has been wiped out. So I think it's a win. Now it's going to be spun as defeat no matter what, especially if there are any more fatalities, any more KIAs. But I think the strength of this operation, it was basically over within 48 to 72 hours when the United States and Israel could do whatever they wanted over the skies of Tehran. So that's kind of where I am right now. Anyway, the drop bearer says eventually, hopefully, there will be a tipping point where the Iranian people themselves, including their own military, start realizing which side of their bread is buttered and force the government to capitulate. Weeks to months, or the entire thing will go tits up and we'll have another Middle Eastern quagmire. Yeah, that's always a possibility. Scott Vandershore says within a week, we'll probably have declared victory and reinvaded on the grounds of the new regime nearly having a nuclear weapon. Yeah. So I've seen some explanations for this. Hey, I thought we destroyed their nuke program last June, and that's a question that I asked. And I think that's a very fair question to ask. Something that I didn't realize or think about or consider in the past week and a half now since this campaign began. How do you wipe out ideas? You just can't. Once the knowledge is there, you can take out a lot of nuclear scientists, but once the research and technology is there, that's extremely hard to destroy and get out of the bloodstream of a system. And so theoretically, it's harder in practice. Theoretically, once the research and technology is there, you can spin up a new program relatively quickly. So, we destroyed a bunch of centrifuges, I think, during the Obama administration. That was a huge blow to Iran, but then they were back again. And that's the explanation that I've heard as of why we've always heard Iran is a week away from getting a nuclear weapon. A week away. Because they still have the technology. It's just a matter of rebuilding the infrastructure. Jim says narrative stalemate, too early to declare total victory, but the administration will tout ruin of crucial Iranian infrastructure. The media will paint Iran as the victim and the operation as an exacerbating factor of our poor economy. Overall net negative for the Trump administration. I don't have a problem with that analysis. I think that's actually pretty much a slam dunk. Whether or not the administration will be able to cope with that and actually overcome that narrative, that remains to be seen. Alistair McBee says, a stalemate, we gain and maintain air superiority. Iranian military is all but non-existent, but the people don't rise up and we're stuck playing whack-a-mole because we rightly refuse to organize a ground invasion. And the citizens of Iran fail Trump, much to our own citizens at home. Yeah, I'm not well versed enough in Iran to know how much of that population hates the mullahs, hates the current system, or maybe even Islamic and hate the current system. How much of that population sees themselves more as Persian than Islamic. All of those things factor into whether or not a regime takeover, whether or not the people rising up is even viable at all. Some Call Me Tim says anything but we look weak. I agree. I think any objective observer says that the United States still looks very strong. Even if we just, as President Trump says, declare victory, go home. I mean, one way or another, there's a couple of stories. I think I first saw this at the Financial Times. A couple of stories this week. China says, yeah, actually, we still want to meet with Trump later this month. One way or another, that's a huge signal. It either signals we've got something up our sleeve, or it signals, on second thought, let's play nice for the next 2.5 years while Trump is still in office. Tell him we'll give him everything he wants. Let's just play nice with Taiwan. And, we're President Xi Jinping bricks. River City Ray says the death of the F-14 Tomcats, I think that happened in about 48 hours, unfortunately. That's going to do it for a Thursday. Tomorrow's Ask or Tell Me Anything. Ask me any question you want. Tell me any news story you think I need to get to on the AM Update that I haven't gotten to this week. Let me know. Look for the pin post at Real AM Update on X. Hope you have a wonderful Thursday. Back at it again tomorrow. I'm Aaron McIntire, and this is the AM Update.